Hey guys, welcome to episode 8 on how to make a survival multiplayer arena game, I suppose. So, in the last couple of videos, we were working on the inventory system, but I realized that it's really big and I think spacing it out would be a lot better for everyone. So right now it is an inventory system that basically doesn't do anything, but you can do things within it. So in other words, I think we should take a break from the inventory system and work on some networking stuff. So what I mean by this, as you can probably tell by the title of the video, we'll be working on connecting our player with another player, really. So right now you can only host on your own computer, so that means you can't just go to your friends right now and be like, yo, come play my game. I know I did that when I first started. I'd be like, wait, why is this not working? I'm hosting and everything. But you have to tell Unity that you're hosting and they will set up everything for you over the internet. So right now, Bob here can play the game on his little computer, but his friend Sally over here wants to play too. So we have to connect this. So wait, okay. So she can play by herself, and that makes her pretty sad. Oh my god, makes it pretty sad because she wants to play with Bob. So we have to work out a way to connect these two so they can both play with each other and be happy. And luckily for us, Unity gives us a way to do that pretty easily. So in their Unity docs, if you're unfamiliar with Unity's documentation, I advise you to check them out, but most of the time they're not the best resource to look at. They're a good place to start. Some of it is good stuff and helpful stuff, but some of it's just not well documented. So if you see something here on the screen in the documentation and there's not enough on it, generally if you Google it, 9 out of 10 times you're going to get a good answer. So for today's video, we'll be using basically Unity docs information on how to connect one player to another player. So before we get started, as you can see, when you play the game, we have a silly inventory system open that we don't want. So we can quickly fix that up. Go into your script and go down to where here. So we'll have it on false to begin with, and we'll have a input. So let's go void update and just make a new one, and we'll say if input, oops, sorry about that, input dot get key down, and let's just make this one key code I, and if we press it down, then we're gonna say if it is positive, then we want to say it is So if it is positive currently, we want to say it's false, and if it's false, we want to say it's true. So this is just saying do the opposite. And if we go back, and you can toggle it with the I key. So in the next video, so I should probably not be talking about this, but in the next video, if you're watching now, we're going to be working on the input system, input manager, so the player can choose whatever key they want to press. So in this case, they'll press whatever they want. But anyways, that's for next video. In this video, we're going to need 2 scripts. We are going to need, actually, I think we only need 1 script. We can always make more. Okay, so this is going to be our connection manager. Open the script up. So first, let's work on hosting a game. So what I mean by this is you are going to be the host, and you're going to be like, yo, Mr. Unity, can you help me host my game so other people can join? They're not going to be hosting you. They're not going to be the host. They're just going to be dealing with the sending of messages to other people who want the information. Meaning you don't have to. So you just be like, yo, Mr. Unity, can you send my information because I want to start hosting a game? And you'd be like, yeah. And then it sends off information to other people, and it sends it back to us. Well, technically, he's just dealing it. So he puts it in his hand, and you'd be like, yo, connect this, and you connect that. Oh yeah, I made this little reminder here. So basically, you're going to be telling him, actually, okay, we'll come back to this. So we'll make a tailoring reference. So we'll come back to it. So if you go into our script, and we're going to need a couple things. We're going to, we don't need to have these. We can say, okay, we want a string, and it is going to be the room name. So this is going to be like, you can make whatever room name you want. You'd be like, yo, this is the 420 no scope room, no cheats, whatever, and that's going to be your room name. So we also going to be like, okay, we only want so many people, so we'll have a room size and be like, let's make it 2 for now, so you can just 1v1 people. You can always make this more whenever you want. If you're unfamiliar with a uint, it's not Unet, it's uint. If you're unfamiliar with it, it is just a number that is unsigned. So you can never have a negative number in this. So it's always going to be a positive number. Or not positive number, it's just going to be unsigned, which makes it technically a positive number. And we have to make reference to the network manager because network. Okay, to get that, we're going to say up here, we're going to be using the namespace Unity Engine dot networking, like we've done in most of our other scripts. So here, network manager, there it is. And we're just going to say network manager. Manager. Okay. So we're going to have to make sure this connection manager doesn't destroy when we load up our game. So it's going to be dealing with all the connections. We don't want it to cut off when we join a game because we're not going to be able to disconnect and whatever. So we're going to make sure it is straight away undestroyable. So private awake, we're not using start, we're using awake because awake is called before the game object is even spawned in the scene. So if you're unfamiliar with the process of auto execution, you can just look it up actually. It's actually really important for some cases, but here it's really just easily to explain that this is called before it's even spawned in the world. So here we're just going to say don't destroy on load this dot game object. Easy. Or you can just say game object, you know. Yeah. We'll just say so you know what it's not destroying. Okay, so now we say when we are spawned in the scene, we want to say the network manager is equal to the network manager dot singleton. Alright, so singletons aren't really used often in programming. So it's sparingly used. There's generally other alternatives to achieve the same goal. And the goal is to say we only want to have one instance of this presence in our script execution. So the best way to explain it is a singleton is a class which only allows one instance of itself to be created and gives us easy access to the instance of it. So this singleton will last as long as we tell it to exist, and that is generally forever until we cut it off manually, not manually, automatically when we turn off the game or destroy the network manager. So that is what a singleton is. It's just an instance and there's only one of it present. And if we get the network manager, so if it's not null, actually it's not the network manager, we're going to say network.manager matchmaking. So matchmaker is not null. If you go back to here, you can see, let me zoom in a bit. That's a bit much. Matchmaker here. It is just saying that we want to now be able to communicate with the matchmaking services it provides. So we're giving ourselves permission to talk to Mr. Unity in a way. So we'll be like, hey, Mr. Unity, can I talk to you? And you'd be like, yeah, sure. And then he does all this here to other clients. So that's what the matchmaker is here. So it's just saying, all right, we want to use this. And if it's not null, we want to, we want to say the network.manager start it up. So we're starting the conversation to Mr. Unity, essentially. So that's what we do on startup. Now we want to have a function that we're going to call on the Unity engine's UI system. This is button. So we're just going to make a button and this is what it's going to call. So easily we just say create room. This button's function is to create a room. We want to say networking dot manager dot matchmaking dot create match. So you can see it takes in a lot of variables. Most of them we don't really have to rely on. If you want a more advanced create match sequence, you probably fill in everything of this, but we aren't going to be doing that here. So here we're going to say it wants the match name, so it wants to say what the match name wants to be and how big we want the room to be, and it's asking us, do we want to advertise this match? So we don't want to set it to private. We want to say yes, tell people that they can join me, advertise it anywhere, everyone is free to join my game, my match. So no one's restricted in joining. So we just want to say, yes, I want you to say other people can join me. And here is a match string, match password, so it's a string. So if you want a private room, so you want to play with your friends, you don't want to publicly host things, this would probably be false. And here you would have a password like, yeah, Bob's party game. And then Sally would have to type in that password to be able to join with the host, which is Bob. But we're going to be like, no, anyone can join our game. Everyone's free to join. And now it wants to have a public client address. Okay, actually, why do I need to explain this when it is probably actually, never mind, I don't think it's here. Oops. Okay, never mind, I'll have to explain it. Okay, so now it wants to have a private client address. We don't want to give this away. Oh, it's saying now, instead of having a password, Miss Sally doesn't need the password. She can just type in a IP, which is his IP, and then once she types in the IP, he'll be like, then they connect. Alright, let's get it. She looks like a joker. I'll make her happy actually. Before we move on, it's only the right thing to do. Let's make them happy, because okay, they're happy now. Okay, let's get this. Okay, let's stop messing around. Okay, so here it needs a score for the match. There is no score for ours. We don't want to request any domain for it, and here we want to say the delegate for this is going to be the match information. So the match information we want to send out, which will just be the network managers dot on match create, and that's a delegate already in the network manager, so we don't have to worry about that. So now we need to get the room name. So let's have a thing here, and we'll say, yeah, let's have a text string with it. So input field. So here we'll say set name, and we'll just close that off. And actually, no, let's say this one requires a string, because we want to have a string of the room name, and we'll say name. Or yeah, no, we'll just keep name, and we'll just say room name is equal to name. We'll come back to that. We'll go back to the UI system in a bit. Let's just do, while we're here, we might as well do the join script. So we have a host one. So this is hosting. And actually, let's say we don't want an empty room name. So if room name is not null, or room name is not empty, and then we want to do that. Okay, now let's do the join script. So before we can join, we want to we need to be able to see the available matches that we can join. So here we'll say void find rooms available, and we just have no parameters there. And here we say network.manager.list the rooms, and this takes in a couple parameters as well. So if you can't see there, I'll probably zoom in later on. So you'll have a start page, which we want to have 0. So if there's heaps of pages of lists or of rooms, then we just want to say which room do we want to start on. Generally want to start on 0, unless you have your own formula of where you want to start your lists. And let's say we only want 5 pages of lists of rooms. And here we don't want to have a match name filter. You can if you have multiple rooms. So if your game is big enough and there's heaps of rooms, you can look up a certain room. So if you want to do no scopes or pure survivalist mode, you'll type that into the name filter and then you'll search it up. So you can just say string filter. So this will be an input field, and then once you're done typing that, you'll say here filter, and then that's what it's going to search for. But we're not going to have that. You can that. I've given you the idea, I've given you the tools, you can go create it. Here, do we want to filter out private matches from our results? Again, it's up to you. So if it's a private room, you can't join anyway, you'll just be able to see it. But so we'll just filter them out. So you can say false here, and then you see random rooms that you wish you were in. You were cool enough to have the private password to it, but we'll just filter them out by ourselves. We're not cool enough. Here again, we don't have any score, no domain reference, and here we call the delegate of on match. Actually, we're gonna need a couple things here. Here we're gonna need, because we're gonna be using a list later on, we're gonna say dot generic, and we're gonna be using Unity engines dot UI system using Unity engine dot yes, matches, perfect. Oops. Okay, so on match list. So here, this is a function on match list. So here's a things of what you need here. So actually we'll just copy paste this, so you can see what we're doing. So here it goes away. So on match list requires, so we're sending information to Mr. Unity, and it returns whether or not the request is successful. So if it's not successful, he denies us, he palms him off. But if we are successful, then we want to do stuff. So if we aren't successful, so let's just say if we're not successful, or there's just no matches, like he just sends us nothing. So if the match list is no, then we just want to say return. We can easily just have, oh yeah, we'll have a text variable saying that we've got no rooms. I probably shouldn't say this now, but this is probably going to be, this is going to be a temporary connection manager script, because I want to have a lobby system. So because currently, if we do all this, we're going to be connecting automatically to the game, and the other person, so we'll be, when we host, we're going to be joining a game. We're going to be in a game, and it could just be 5 minutes later someone joins it, but we're already 5 minutes ahead of them scavenging and shooting animals and whatever. So I want to have a lobby system so they all connect at the same time. Okay, so they will have, so but with that said, let's continue on doing this. So this is just our temporary create room list script, really, so you can go ahead and play with your friends. You could just show your brother or sister how cool you are coding and stuff. Like, hey, this is a game I made. It's already online. Okay, so I need to stop getting distracted. Oh, 2 AM. All bad. So we'll just say insert text saying so if we're not successful, then it's going to go and do this. So for each, snapshot. So here, this is just the list of information. So the list. So it's a list of information of matches. So that includes what we have here: room name, room sizes, the IP to connect to play with them, etc. So this is just a list of the match information. So for every match information there is. So here, match in the match list. Whoops, and then copy it. We want to go ahead and create a UI element. So this UI element, we're going to go up here and okay, so we're going to need a couple things. This hosting, joining, and down here we're gonna have disconnecting. So for the joining part, we're gonna need a public list of game objects. So this is gonna store the elements that we're gonna instantiate, so we can easily destroy them later on when the room disappears or the guy stops hosting, etc. So we want to destroy that when it's not there anymore. Make sense? So this is going to be the room list equals new list of game objects and initialize that. And we're going to be like, what are we going to instantiate? We're going to have to instantiate a game object. Okay, actually, let's not get in this habit now. This is going to be a serializable field. This also is going to be a serializable field. And this is going to be the room list prefab or instance, and we want to put that somewhere. So when you instantiate a Unity UI element, so if we go, whoops, let's go there. So if you instantiate, so let's go to the prefabs and draw this in. So you have to put it on a transform. So when you instantiate a UI element not on, so it's going to instantiate, let's drag this over here and we'll just continue. So if it's not on a parent of a canvas, you can't see it. So you can see it's here, it's over here, but it's not on the canvas, so it doesn't draw it, it doesn't render it. So you have to parent it onto a canvas element. See, over here on the right, you can see a canvas renderer on all these elements, and it needs to be on a canvas for the canvas renderer to work. Done. So, okay, just delete that. Go back to our script. So we want to get a transform, which is going to be, oh my god, transform. Oh. So it's going to be a canvas option. So we're going to say canvas panel room list, long name, who cares. So we can go back here and we're going to say get a local object, so we can manipulate the variables of it. So for the room list object, so the room list object is going to be a instantiated item of the room list. Wait, was it the room list? Yeah, no, room list prefab. And now we want to say this dot transform dot set parent, so we want to put it on the canvas. It needs to be a child of the canvas, so put it on the canvas list. And so we are going to need to make a new script. So we can go ahead and create a new script for this element. So we're creating a script that is going to, when pressed, so it's going to be an on-click function. So when we press a function, press the button, sorry, it is going to join the game. So we're getting the room lists. So when we get the room lists, we're going to make a game object that is a button, and when we press the button, it's going to get the information that we put on it here into so we are creating the object, and then we want to put some information on that object, and the object is going to be a button. So when we press the button, it's going to take that information, and then we're going to join a game based on that information. So we need a script to store that information on. So create a new script, and this is going to be room item, join room item. Open that up, and this is going to this is going to have a so we're going to need a namespace again, because it's a UI element. We want to say be using the Unity engine UI system, and again we're going to be using Unity engine networking the match. So we're going to be able to use this information here as well. So we're going to have a let's say private dot text, and this is going to be the room info. So this could be the player, so the current players in that room, the limit of that room, and this can be a whole lot of information depending on what you set here. But for now, we're just going to want to have the current room name, current players, and the max limit of the players. So we want to have a private match info snapshot. So the information from that we get here, we want to place that current room's information onto here, and we say match. And here we can create a function that sets it up for us. So room setup, room element setup, actually setup, and this is going to take in the match info snapshot, and it's going to be the match. And we're gonna have to create a delegate. Actually, a delegate is essentially just if you can imagine a player, a person, you're essentially giving the responsibilities of another person to that person. So you'd be like, no, you do this, you take my responsibilities, you do this. So when you want to communicate with this person's for the second person's responsibilities, you have to go through the first person's to get to that. So okay, that's probably confusing. I probably should have drawn a picture for that, but okay, so it's just an instance of a method or a function. So that's simply put, a delegate is just an instance, so you're calling it once of a particular method or function. So if you wanted to call this, you just say delegate, and then it automatically, so you just put it on a button, and then that automatically sends to here. So here we say public void delegate, we have to say a delegate first, void join room delegate. So we are giving it the responsibility to join the room. So this is going to take in the match info snapshot. So it's going to have the information in it, and when we click a button or say click a button, then it is going to call the function that we say here. So now we need to get reference to that delegate, and because it's a void, we can say here and join, copy and paste, join game, and we'll just say J. And you'll see what I mean by now. I think I'm confusing myself of what a delegate is. So here we want to have a parameter that is the delegate itself. So we're going to be using it as a button element. So if you go to UI button, here you can put in a script and you call the function, and that function is going to be the join room function, which we're going to create just after this. So all this is doing is just setting up the information where it needs to be. So when we want to join the game, we can have a on-click function that does that automatically. So we just say match is equal to match room info dot the text, because it's a text element, is going to be equal to this dot okay, we'll say match, but it can also be plus plus, let's get a space in there, match dot current players, let's say current size, and plus match plus match, oh man, my brain's stopped working, max size. So it's just gonna have the name of it, the current size, and the max. So you can be like, all right, I have 2 people that I want to play with, and there's only space for 1. You'll know because if say it's 3 out of 4, 3 out of 2, 2 out of 3, whatever. So you'll be able to see if you can actually join with your friend. And here, this delegate is going to be equal to whatever delegate we sent in here. And all we have to do have, a public void. So this is the information we're going to be putting in the button itself. So this is going to be the on-click join function. So this is going to be the as I said, on-click join game. And here we're going to say, because it's an instance of the join room delegate. So delegate, just like the singleton, is a instance of a method or function. So we're just saying, all right, so we're just saying, all right, you're going to be assuming the responsibility of joining the room for us, which we're going to call, which we are calling here. Man, I don't think I'm explaining these all properly. Comment in the description below if you're not actually understanding, if I'm too vague in some things or I'm rushing something. Please tell me, because sometimes I'm just skipping over things. I'm just writing things all over again. But so run through. So don't worry about delegates too much. They're fun to use sometimes, but they're not always necessary. So this is just setting up our room, and this is the join button. So when we press this, then we want to invoke find the match, join the room. And okay, so if we go back to our script here, we say join room item, and this is going to be room item is equal to this room item dot get component join room. So we're just making a reference to that. And so if we're not getting a null reference here, so if we are getting a join room element on it, then we want to set up the room. So join room element dot call the function that we put on it, set room setup, and we fill in this information and the join room delegate that we're going to prepare in a second. So now we need to add this game object to the list we made up here. So room list dot add this game object, so we can destroy it later on when we don't have that match available. And if we don't actually get any rooms here, so it's finding it's successful and there is a match list, so we're getting a match list. But if the room list, so it's going to go through everything, and we should probably clear it. I will do that in a sec. So if the match list dot count is equal to 0, you can have 3 things here, but it doesn't make sense. Actually, no, that's JavaScript. So if the room list comes up empty, we want to say something. So we've not no rooms. Okay, so let's create this function very quickly. All this is doing is, let's make it public. We might call it later. So this is basically what this is doing here. So it takes the same information here and create the function. And we're going to be taking this, and we want to join the match. And here we need a network match ID, an ID. But luckily for us, we're sifting in a match ID. So this is going to be the ID that we want to join. So because it needs to sort out where it's sending the information, because I'll miss Unity here. So if we take away these, so if you're sending information to him, he needs to know where to send the information, or else he'll just send it wherever. He needs to be directed to a particular person, or vice versa, this person. So let's say there's a person over here, not a very good person. Let's just draw a box. So if this person wants to join the hosted game, or the game advertised, it's going to be like, alright, you're going to be getting the information from me, and it's going to be sending it to you, and vice versa. So it's going to have all the information it needs there. So it's not sending random data wherever. So here, we don't have a match password, because so if the match password, if you had a match password here, or here, then you would have to put one in here when you join. But with that is empty, and again, we don't have a public client. Don't want a private one. Don't have a score. Don't have a score. And here, network manager dot on match join. And because we want to clear the list after every go at it, we want to say public void clear room list, and this is just a simple for loop, and we go through the room list dot count I++, and we want to go ahead and destroy the things. So when we want to refresh, you can have a automatic refresh timer, or we can have a button. I think a button is easier because we're going to be having a cooler lobby system later on, so this could just be a simple button. And we want to destroy the room list the one that we're on now. and we want to clear the list for more things to come, for more rooms to be coming. And disconnecting is pretty easy. It's really just one script. It's a lot easier than the rest because you're just dropping the connection from them. So public void leave room, and we want to get the match info. So the current, so we're in a game now, so just say we're in a game. The network manager here is really going to have the information that we have for this game. So all we have to do is get it from the network manager. So the match info equals network manager dot match info. So if you look here, this is the network info, but this is the things that we'll be trying to get. So once we have that, we again network.manager.matchmaker drop the connection from them, and this takes in a couple things. Match info.id, so you need to tell it which thing you're disconnecting from, and this one's an interesting one. You're gonna have to have the node ID, so you have to have another ID number for it. And here we don't want to request a domain, and here the network manager already has, thankfully, a delegate that we can use when we are dropping the connection, which is on. So these things here, so network manager dot match joined, you can override these, so they already have a set things of what they're going to do. So these delegates already have a responsibility what to do. So they are programmed to do something now by default, but later on when we're making the lobby system, we can override these and do what we want with it. So on them, if we want to join a match, if we're hosting a match, instead of having it create a game instantly for us, we say, no, I want to create a lobby and wait for people before I want to go into the game. So we can override these as we go on. So, but for now, we'll keep everything simple, and we just want to say, let's say network.manager. So, because we're dropping connection, we're leaving something, we want to check whether or not we're hosting, and you don't really need to check. All you need to do is say stop host. If you're the client, it does nothing. If you're the host, then it disconnects all the clients from you automatically when you leave the game. But if you're a client, when you do this, it doesn't care because you're not hosting anything. Then you don't need to check if it's the host or not.